Everybody wants to grow and, oh man, I wish I had what you have. No, you don't. Yeah. Enjoy what you have first. Maybe a 700 square foot place or 2 batting cages is perfect for you. You don't want to be in a 28,000 square foot place and you won't know how to handle it.
Benny, what episode is this?
32.
Episode 32 of the Real Talk Podcast. It's your host, Joey.
And Thomas.
And if you like what you're hearing, please like, subscribe, and comment down below.
3, 2.
Let's go. How we feeling, TP?
Feeling good. Beautiful day.
Beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Beautiful week, actually.
Exactly. We've been doing it. We starting to pick back up again. I could feel it in the air.
Good. Yeah, we had a week?
We had a week of just social content and just catching up on things.
Good. We had the new hire, so we were able to kind of be around.
Yeah.
Kind of
crossing the T's, dotting the I's.
Yep.
We got some fun projects ahead of us. We got TP. You know what's funny? I was watching the Bishop podcast, and the first podcast we were talking about the Tito's event, and here we are, episode 32. It's back at the Tito's event, baby.
Tomorrow morning. Yeah, but it's not going to be the same.
It's not going to be the same.
Sorry, Ben. You missed out on the good times, Ben.
Yeah, and then
missed out on the good times.
We're also shooting a video for a logistics company. We are doing a seamless video wall installation that they're doing for Walgreens. So that's pretty cool.
Oh, you and JT will be at that.
Exactly.
We'll be over there.
We got the A and the A+ team.
Whoa. Chill.
And then Saturday, we got Justin Rabinowitz. Shout out Justin Rabinowitz.
Shout out Justin.
And then I'll be shooting a wedding.
Where are you shooting the wedding at?
I'm in Manhattanville, New York.
Manhattan?
At the Reed Castle.
At least it's not Manhattan.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be crazy.
Oh, yeah.
The shoot this week was fun.
We just we did a video at a pharmaceutical company. It was cool.
Manufacturing.
Yeah, check out the BTS if you haven't seen it already. Benny put out a sick BTS.
It was pretty cool.
Follow us on Instagram too, at MediaX Marketing. We never plug MediaX Marketing on the pod, but let's do it.
All right. Joe, who do we have on today?
Who do we have on today? Ladies and gentlemen, meet Duke Baxter, a true sporting and entrepreneurial legend. With a professional athletic background, coaching expertise, and over hundreds of thousands of followers on Instagram, TikTok, and I saw he even has a Pinterest. And he is a powerhouse in the sports world. As CEO and head coach at Zone Sports Academy, Duke has trained All-Americans and U.S. Olympic athletes. He's also an inventor with 2 U.S. patents for baseball training aids and creates online video courses. Everybody, get ready to be inspired by Duke Baxter!
Oh. Going on, sir.
Thanks.
You knew when to come in?
Sure did. That was an awesome intro.
What's going on, dude?
Awesome, man. It's great to be here with you. I'm excited for today.
100%. We just had CJ Hendricks on the podcast. Really? Of South Brunswick, and he said he knew you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So what's going on, Duke? How's life treating you?
Everything's good. It's busy with 4 kids. It's some are on the baseball field, some are on the lacrosse field. So it's pretty crazy. My daughter just got back from Penn State, so the house is full again.
Damn.
So we're just really staying busy.
Yeah, so I kind of want to dive into your athletic background and how you kind of came up in your earlier days. So you always had a love for baseball?
Always had a love for baseball. Started when I was 6 years old, playing Little League. I don't know what it was about the game that made me love it. Maybe my dad enjoyed it. Our neighbor loved the Yankees. So it was almost just like, I just grabbed the ball and enjoyed it. And it was a real challenging sport. Mm. And I guess it was born then. It just, at a really young age, I just picked it up and, started playing it.
And you played all throughout, like high school, college?
Yeah, I started up in Raritan, New Jersey is where I started.
Shout out Raritan. Shout out to Lucia's.
As you like it, was the ice cream place. Then went to Bridgewater High School, went to a junior college down in Florida called FCCJ, Florida Community College at Jacksonville, where I then went on to play at the University of North Florida. Then I signed with the Madison Black Wolf, played there for 2 seasons, finished up with the Somerset Patriots, and just have always been around the game, coaching it, playing it, watching it. So pretty much my whole life I've been playing.
So how was it for you once you got done with playing baseball? Like, where was your mind at?
I gotta tell you, it was a dark place, believe it or not. It was really challenging because going through your whole life as a baseball player and everyone knowing you as that, and all of a sudden I remember the last game at Somerset, and I was like, oh my gosh, you work out every day, you're eating well, you're doing all the things to take care of your body. And, it's just a whole nother level of just being a professional. And now baseball's over. And it was, well, who am I now?
Yeah.
I'm no longer the baseball player. I'm no longer the athlete. And it was like, now what? Like, what do I do now? I didn't really take high school or, school seriously. I always wanted to be a, big leaguer and play on TV and that sort of thing. And I did do well in college because the coaches made it to where you had to get a certain GPA, thank gosh. Yeah. And it was really, without that, it was just, I just wanted to play baseball. That's it. Train, practice, play. But when it was over, it was, well, now what? Who am I even? Like, when I'm not wearing a uniform or I'm not wearing a hat, who am I? And so I really just continued the love for playing and coaching, and then coaching other kids and trying to really just give back to what I loved to other players. Yeah. And that's when, Zoned was born. That's where, taking on this whole other journey of how can I stay in the game and be in the game? This is what I know the most. And, turn into something that 20 years later, here I am.
Do you have any tips on how people can kind of form, because you identified, right, as the baseball player, to kind of leave their what they identified with before and to kind of transition into like a new person?
Yeah, I think that, what I did was it wasn't, I'm not Duke Baxter, the professional baseball player. I'm Duke Baxter, a husband, a father of 4, almost that plays baseball. Yeah. When I reframed it to myself, like, I'm not just a professional athlete that has these other things. I'm all of these other things that plays baseball. So for all those athletes out there, or for all those kids out there that are struggling, or maybe they don't want to play anymore, it's like, well, who am I? No, you're all those awesome things that you just happen to love playing the game or the sport or the other. Because once that's gone, you don't want to have that hole in, because that's a scary spot, because your identity is almost gone. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
So for those who don't know, like, how would you explain Zone?
Zone's 28,000 square foot indoor baseball and softball training facility. We work with players of all ages, all skill levels. And it's just, I like to say it's a place where you go, you train hard, you work, you sweat, and you have a smile on your face all at the same time. Like, I think that when we coach sometimes, we have to make sure that the fun stays in the practice. You could be grinding somebody out and they can be getting dirty and diving and sweating and exhausted, but yet still have fun doing it. So kids will come in at 6 years old that never touched a baseball glove or never swung a bat before. And we take them on, and it's like, hey, welcome to Zone. Let's go play. And, the parents are like, wow. And then the kid leaves like, man, I can't wait to go back to Coach Duke, Coach Steve, or I can't wait to go back there. They just have so much fun doing it. And then they're playing a sport that, is very challenging, but kind of tying in all that stuff to go with the sport, I
kind of want to touch on the early days of Zoned. How did you get your first clients, and like, what was like the initial like business model? Because was it just full on at first, or how did it go?
No, not at all. It was, really doing lessons, working with kids, having the kid next door being like, I wish my swing was better, or, my son's having a hard time fielding, and, okay, I'll give him a one-on-one lesson. And then it turned into one-on-one lessons outside in cages. That was in 97, 98 when I was playing with the Patriots and that sort of thing. I played for the Patriots in 2002, but after college was kind of like when I was playing pro ball in the summer, but then had off in the fall, had off in the winter. Like, what am I going to do now? So giving some individual lessons and being like, wow, this is something that I really like doing, and there's a market here. And then getting a couple other guys, and next thing you know, in 2002, a bunch of my buddies on the Patriots had the same situation. What am I going to do in the fall? What am I going to do in the spring? And this, how am I going to make money? How am I going to? Okay, so we brought a couple guys in, and then they started coming down. And now we're like, okay, now let's have classes. Okay, now let's train teams. So it was like it just became more and more. Then softball started, and now softball's huge at Zone. So it really started in a small batting cage with a dream of nothing really, but having fun in the moment. To wait, I think I have something here that we can do more on a bigger scale. And now it is. We have 33 employees and guys and gals are, we do what we love, and it's, it's a fun time.
Was there any point during the growth of it that like things started to become overwhelming from like maybe from like the business you had coming in or the employees that you had to deal with?
The whole entire thing. I think everybody that's an entrepreneur knows that nothing is easy, right? It's like you have to stay on the mission of what you have and why you're doing it and what your goal is and what you love, and then you just figure it out, right? Like I didn't really have a business background. I had an athlete background. I played baseball. Like that's what I did. And now it was like, okay, there's rent and HR and all the different bills that came along with it. And you're like, wait a second, I didn't have all these things because I was in a batting cage outside. Yeah. I didn't have any expenses or, what happens when a client cancels on somebody else and how do you pay the coach still? How do you, and it's like, oh man, I got to figure this out and kind of put together a blueprint here for these situations. But to be honest, I think a lot of it was hard. I think it's hard when every time you move up in levels, there's whole new issues. Everybody wants to grow. And, oh man, I wish I had what you have. No, you don't. Yeah. Enjoy what you have first. Maybe a 700 square foot place or 2 batting cages is perfect for you. You don't want to be in a 28,000 square foot place and you won't know how to handle it.
Yeah.
I if that's what I had it right when I wouldn't know how to handle it. I never could have been able to do it. So it's like the incremental bumps that you go through, and it's like, okay, then we plateaued for a while, and then now we're going to go up here, and now we're going to, or sometimes this is a perfect example is, we started our teams, and we went from 12 teams to 18 teams in one season. And I was like, dude, this is awesome. We're going to make more money. This is going to be, it was a disaster. Those extra 6 teams means we had to get 12 more coaches, which means we had to train more. Next season went back down to 9. I'm like, this is, you know what I mean? Like, that's what I mean by you want something or you wish for something that you can't handle that yet.
Yeah.
So, and sometimes you don't know until you can't handle it.
Exactly.
Right? Like you're figuring stuff out and you're like, oh, we'll just figure it out. Well, everything's figure outable, but sometimes you have to take the bruises to, now we can handle 12 again, or now we can, but so I think that that's the, some good advice is don't wish you had more until you're ready for it. When you're ready for it and the opportunity's there, you'll know it and jump on.
Yeah.
But don't just, I wish, looking back, I wished of what I have now, like then man, I can't wait to have my own place. I can't wait. Okay, well now I'm here and now I already want more. It's like, stop wishing that you had more when, wow, 5 years from now, I could only have dreamt I'd be here right now. Yeah. We're always so quick to want to level up ourselves. Yeah. And we're like, why? Like, enjoy what you have first and celebrate once in a while.
Exactly.
I think we don't do that enough. We don't celebrate the wins that we get. It's almost like, oh, what am I going to make my next win?
Yeah. Exactly.
And
like the position that you're in doesn't feel like that grand place that you thought it was going to be. It almost feels like the bottom level. Again, like you're creating a new like bottom level for yourself because like every time you achieve something, you're like, all right, well, this is kind of the bottom now, and then I got to work up to the next thing.
Do you have any tips on, because you talked about a little bit about plateauing and then trying to get to that next level. When you are kind of plateauing, what do you do personally for Zone, for yourself, and things like that?
When I'm plateauing in anything, whether it's working out or at Zone, I get right back to the basics. It's like when I have an athlete that's struggling, right? They were ripping it up, doing amazing, and it's like, okay, they need a little bit of a tweak. But it's not like throwing 16 things at them at one time. It's like, okay, what got us where we were? What did we do then? What was the routine that we got into that got us feeling good and right to then take the next step? So sometimes I just take a step back and I just like kind of like analyze myself of, okay, what am I doing now? Like I'm trying to go too fast. I'm trying to do too much, too fast, and now I'm doing nothing well. I'm just doing a bunch of things okay. And it happens to me a lot. I'm an energetic guy. I'm like all over the place. I'm an idea guy, creative, and I can just go way too fast sometimes. So I have to just slow down, write down where I'm at and what do I want to do now with each of these things, and then take them one at a time, which means usually I'll take 4 at a time, but I won't take 16 at a time. So when I'm plateauing, I just take a step back, reassess what's going on, and get back to the basics. And then usually where you are then, you accelerate and jump back to where you want to go. But, sometimes throwing too much on your plate at one time to do too many things, you don't do any of them well.
Yeah.
Exactly. You do everything Okay, do nothing well.
Exactly. Did you always have this energetic side
I
of you?
did. I did. I always had this, and a lot of my kids have it, and it's as much as people say, like ADHD or having some of these whatever you want to call them, it's like, oh, it's like a deficit, it's a problem, it's a challenge, it's like you have a broken brain. It's like, no, you know what? Every time I'm on a podcast or people watch my videos, why do they like Duke Baxter? The reason what they say is you're so creative. You have so much energy. You can, create a drill out of nothing. Well, it's almost, that's what my superpower is, right? My superpower is going into a room, being energized and lifting up whoever I'm around with whatever I'm doing. And people know right away when something's going on or when something's wrong with Duke, because he's not a level 9.
Yeah.
He drops to a level 6, which is fine. We can't be up here forever, but I've always had this energy and this just like love for like what I'm doing, and trying to stay in the moment to where here I am, this is what's happening and I'm enjoying this. I'm not outside somewhere else, which is very easy for me to be like, what am I doing in an hour from now? Oh my gosh, I have a meeting next. And next thing you know, like people will be like, dude, you like Duke's, we're come back in here, and all the people that work with me and friends and family, like they know how to like get me back into like, oh, hey, what's going on? Like, and then but I've always had that energy and just a passion for what's going on. And I'm not like this all the time.
Yeah.
I have bad days. I have struggles. I have things that knock me down. But at the end of the day, when you see me in videos and you see me at stuff, this is who I am.
Have you ever had an instance where like you're not having the best day, but people see your videos, right? And they expect you to be happy and they come up to you and they're like, expect you to be this person that's like online. Has that like ever kind of happened?
100%. And I have it a lot at work.
Yeah.
Right. I come in, blah, blah, and then all of a sudden Teresa would be like, what's going on? I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, you're just not yourself today.
Yeah.
I'm like, this happened to me this morning, and then I'll just like snap out of it. Sometimes you have to talk through things that are going on. It's like, I saw this thing that Simon Sinek had talked about. He's like, you should never cry alone, right? And guys never cry, like very rarely. And he's just like, crying with somebody allows somebody else to appreciate and show that how much they care for you in that situation, right? Like we just lost my mother-in-law, and it was like the hardest thing for my wife, for all of us. And it was like, who's going to cry first? And I was the one that said, guys, this is what needs to happen here, because I have 3 boys, and it's like nobody wanted to show tears. I'm like, so it was almost like I needed to release and cry first.
Yeah.
And then everyone else just started bawling like, okay, this is okay.
Yeah.
So I think that sometimes, we try to just grind and just pretend like everything's okay, but deep down inside, you're not. Where going into work and be like, oh my gosh, Teresa, like I'm having the worst day, and I talk about it and it's gone. And I have my athletes do that. I have them journal.
Yeah.
Because when you're playing 3 or 4 games a weekend and you go 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts, and you're like, man, 0 for 3, I'm having a bad weekend. All of a sudden you turned it into a bad weekend.
Yeah.
Like you only had 1 game so far. Journal it down. Oh man, great curveball. I struck out on that. I fouled off 7 pitches. She made a great pitch. I struck out again. And then, okay, well, if I look at that, like, whoa, I fouled off 6 balls. I had a good at bat still. Or I lined out the third, good at bat still. Oh, my day wasn't actually all that bad. All right, I'm ready to go now.
Yeah.
And now they move on and move past it. But so many things just get internalized and afraid to talk to, and no one wants to know what's really happening. And I feel like with social media, it's easy to see that.
Yeah.
No one ever cries on camera.
Yeah.
No one ever says, oh my gosh, I'm having a horrible day today. I'm not. People are just like, hey, look where I'm at. Look at my car. Look at my airplane. And you're like, wow, everybody in the world's making $1 million. I'm doing everything wrong. Like, everyone's signing scholarships. I'm doing everything wrong. And that's what the kids today are just feeling. They're so far behind. Everyone thinks they're so far behind. Like anytime my wife sees something on Facebook, it's like everybody goes on vacation but us.
Yeah.
Because it seems like, right, everyone's on vacation.
Yeah.
Because it sticks out the things that you wish you were doing or what you want to do at that time. And it just like, and I think it's challenging, man. It's just, it's challenging.
I feel like it's easy for people to like misunderstand like what the grind is really like. Like you hear people like, I made it from nothing. And then like you have like younger kids who are looking at that like, oh yeah, well maybe I came from nothing too. And but like, it's really like blood, sweat, and tears, like like truly, even what we do, like blood, sweat, and tears into what you do. Like nights where you think like, there's no way this could possibly work. Like we should just throw this away. But then the next day comes, and that's when you have like one of those good days. But like talking about, I mean, I remember when I used to have lacrosse tournaments all weekend, and first game's a shitty game, and you don't even have time to talk about it. You got to go right to the next field, get right into the next thing. But it kind of creates like this, almost like a callus inside of you that you can deal with things on your own. But then once you realize you can go to others too, it's like you almost become invincible at times, like learning that you can go.
And it's creating that system around you, right? That support staff, that people know when things are wrong. They know when things are right. You know when things are wrong with them. They know. And it's like, that's what I try to do when I'm building my teams. It's like, okay, I can either do everything for you guys all the time or teach you how to do it so that you can then do it, right? I can teach you how we warm up and how we throw and then you guys run it. There's 2 leaders every practice, and they run warm-ups. They run batting practice. And when they're done, they call me in, and then I come in and hit ground balls and fly balls. And everyone's like, how in the world? Like, your team's like on autopilot. Like, well, so could your team be? Like, I just taught them, and they don't do it perfect. They goof off for a little bit. Like, who cares? But they're learning how to lead. They're learning how to, there's 2 different guys every time, and they're the ones that are leading some do it better than others. But at the end of the day, the system's there. They know what to do. And it's way more fun when you're accountable for yourself and you're the one doing it, not just being told what to do. And I'm just doing this. You never feel like you're growing or getting better or have any say on what's going on. Instead, work it the other way around and empower everybody around you to do what they want to do. And, don't be so judgmental when something comes out like, oh man, I can't put this out. Like, this is not good enough. Instead, just put it out. And all of a sudden someone's like, oh man, that was a great message. I'm like, dude, I thought that sucked. I was afraid to even put that out. And then you get that one person that's like, you changed my day. And I'm like, all right, looks like I'm going to be putting stuff out for the next week. For the next week, it gives me one more week to think, okay, maybe I'm onto something okay. Just like what you guys said. This stuff right here is so hard because you don't know what people are looking for. You don't know if the message is good. It's good, but it's going to hit somebody.
Exactly.
It's good enough for you guys to put out, and the messaging is there. Like, it's going to hit so many people that one person that's struggling and like, man, I want to start a podcast. These guys did it. Like, they said it was hard, but they did it. And now you have guys out there in the world like making podcasts because they're watching you 2 guys like crush this right now. Like, and you're not afraid to say, hey, we just started. Hey, we don't have 700 episodes. But when you have 700 episodes, you guys are going to go back and be like, let's go watch episode number 8 and see who we had on. Because look what we have now. Well, we didn't have this on episode 8 or 1 or 2, so.
And just loving the process too, because like even in our earlier days, you'll see like we have a ton of mistakes. So sometimes we're not rolling audio. Sometimes the lights turn off. Like it's just
at each other.
We don't know what to say. So it's just really like growing into the process.
When did you first start implementing like content? Like when did you first know you wanted to start making videos, put yourself out there?
I think that's awesome. That's a great question. I've always videotape my lessons. I always but I never like to be in front of the camera when someone's like asking me questions. But when I watched a video of me working with the kids or training, I'm like, dude, that's a good video. Like, that's good content, right? I'm not talking to the camera. This is what I'm doing. It was just videos of me and showing the energy of it. And this one girl, Kristen, I've trained the team for like 16 years, and every practice she would video everything. So we had about 650 softball videos of all the different trainings that we had. And I was like, wait, I need to do something with this. Everybody's asking me about content. I'm like, I don't even have any. But she actually was able to send it all to me. And during COVID, when that was the first time ever that I didn't know how to make money, right? Making money was I could give a private lesson. I could go train a team. I could go give a talk. There was so many ways, but all of a sudden we couldn't be one-on-one. Our facility was closed. We couldn't do team stuff. So everything was gone. And I'm like, what are we going to do? We have this monster building. We have to pay rent. And so what I ended up doing was creating an online course to train coaches, because there were other parts of the country that were open. There was baseball in some locations. A lot of them were shut down. Our season was shut down, but there was places available. And I'm like, how can I help them? Like, well, how can I take this stuff that I have and create that instead? Because I can't do anything else. And that's when Dominate the Diamond was born. Dominate the Diamond was born based on that premise of taking the videos, because I'm not the 28-year-old guy that's ripped and looks good with what I'm doing. Now I'm 49, right? So I had a guy tell me, you're not going to be young forever, but what you have in the knowledge and the wisdom of what you've been doing for so long can help so many people. So start capturing what you have and doing that instead. And that's when we started our first course. We have 12 courses now. We have like a membership. So now we help coaches all over the country. We just sold one of our memberships to Denmark. It's a whole little league in Denmark, and so it's like, that's when it became, wow, we're helping people. So Duke, get over yourself and just figure it out and talk in front of the camera anyway, because you're helping more people than you just being afraid to do it. So get out of your fear of that, or else you're not going to make money. Who knows what's going to happen? You're going to lose a facility. Who knows what would have happened? Yeah. So I just had to, so that's the time where you had to like just grit through it. And then I was like, okay, I like it a little bit more. And okay, I like it a little bit more. Like, okay, I can deal with this. And now I do like it, you know?
What are some tips to get comfortable in front of the camera?
Do it. You just have to do it. Yeah. You have to do it. And I'm sure like 99% of the people out there, when even myself today, when I record a video and I listen to myself, I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys watch it and tell me how it is. Like, you don't want to listen to yourself. Yeah. You don't want to see yourself. You just think like everything's whack, right? But it's like, so, and, you know, and the other part is like, stop critiquing everything so much. Like, get it and just send it out. Because I used to get it and then try to edit it. And then I'd try to like, this wasn't good. Let me do this. And then it would just sit in my camera roll. Right now I have 27,000 videos on my camera roll and 48,000 photos. Yeah. And probably out of those 27,000 videos, I bet there's 23,000 videos that no one's ever seen. It was probably my best content that I'm afraid to show anybody, you know? And now it's like, or I'll never do a live. Like, I don't like doing lives because I can't edit it, or what if this happens? So it's like the fear of it. I know that it's the way to go and that's what you should do now. But I'm like, you know what? I don't have control over that. And sometimes if a kid says something or someone's cursing or someone leaves a bad, like I just, you know, I'm at a point now where I can't allow that part to happen to our brand and to what I'm doing. Not that I'm afraid that I'm going to say something that I'm just going to talk the way that I am and it's easy flowing, but you don't know what other people are going to do in situations that then, you know, so.
Yeah. You want it to be like natural, but you also want to have some sort of control on it. God forbid something happens like that.
Yeah, 100%. When did you know when did you see the growth in social media? Like, when did you see that pop?
I saw the growth which is like the weirdest platform, because Facebook, it's like impossible to grow on it, right? Like everyone's like, oh, Facebook is just the moms and the dads. But for me, my audience was coaches. So that is moms and dads. So I shot videos, and I would just, during COVID, I was one video a day on Facebook, a cool drill that I liked. And then there was no reels. There were no stories. So it was just a post. I'd post in the morning, I'd post a cool quote, and then I would post a video of something, how to help first baseman, and next, you know, one day some guy was like, dude, how did you get 175,000 followers? I'm like, I don't even know I had 175,000. That's not what I'm trying to do. Yeah. Right. And then it was 250. Now I think we're up to 268,000 people and I'm like, they're like, well, how are you monetizing it? I'm like, I'm not. I'm trying videos to help people. But now I'm at the time, now that we have, you know, the Dominate the Diamond and the online stuff, now we're using it to help coaches. Now we are advertising a little bit. We're giving out free practice plans. We're giving out free drills. We're leading them so I think that's when I really saw the pop, was just the consistency. When I got consistent with what I was doing without even knowing that was going to happen, you know, and so every day I just had my plan. Every morning was a quote, and then every afternoon was just a video that I liked. There was no set time. There was no plan to it really. And it just, over time, just started cranking. And I was like, holy cow, like, this is pretty sick. Everyone's like, how'd you do it? I'm like, I don't know. Like, I couldn't give you my blueprint except for consistency wins. Like, that's it.
Yeah. And
you need to have the content, right? That's the thing. Like, it's hard for people to make content, take time to make content. But, you know, on our membership, there's over 1,000 videos that people can watch. 1,000. Like, how long is it? Like, it takes a long time to get 1,000 videos, you know, that, you know, so it's just time, right? 20 years of doing it and just little bit, and it's some of them are not as clear, some of them aren't 4K, 2K. But the content is there. So
I think that's what it's all about. It's like the message that's in there. Like I watch videos sometimes where after I watch, I'm like, why am I overthinking about my stuff? Like this person just did it, put it out, like
100%.
And that same exact person has the same thoughts of that you had of like, how come I can't just put out content? See it? And people say it to me all the time, oh, it's so easy for you. You're so good at it, Duke. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm not good at it. And it's not easy for me. I hate doing it. But what, it's like it's like the rewards of people that it helps way outweighs me being nervous or not liking it. Like this is not hard I shouldn't say it's not, because it is hard but it's like you just do it.
Exactly. So I saw that you had DukeBaxter.com, you have Zoned, you have the Duke Baxter Instagram, and then Zoned. Why is it like important to separate the two brands, like Duke Baxter the brand and Zoned the brand?
I think that's an awesome question. I think the hardest part is in the beginning it was just Duke Baxter, just posting stuff on my, like I never put like my family stuff. My Facebook Duke Baxter page is only that, right? But the Duke Baxter Instagram page, when I started that, was like, it was really like Coach Duke. Like here's videos, I'm helping people out. I don't put like anniversaries or like I don't use Instagram for that. And I just started doing it. And that's how it started. And then, we had a guy who was like, hey, we should start an Instagram page. And then Instagram. And then we started a Dominate the Diamond page. And then but I think it's important to separate. And I think it's hard sometimes. And I do all my own content on my own. Like we have another guy that contributes to all of them. But for the most part, my Instagram is mine. I'll shoot a video. I post it. I this, I that. And some people are like, you're so crazy. Like, why don't you have someone do it for you? And I'm like, because when you go on my page, you know that it's me, it's my voice, it's what I say. I might have some spelling errors in there. I might have ... I might, forget things, but like that's what I post. But I think it is important to separate. Okay, Zoned is our brick and mortar building. That's where we do our training. Our Dominate the Diamond that's all of our online stuff. So there's videos, and then there's Duke Baxter when you're just going to see me and kids and training and or working with coaches. And so it's almost like you're getting to see the life of me, or you're seeing what Zone's all about and what Dominate the Diamond. It's not just, you'll see one video on all 5 pages. You'll see one video on all, so I don't know. I think it just makes it a little bit more unique, and it makes it a little bit more, what you're going to get when you go on them. When someone goes on your page, I think they should see what they're expecting to see on it. Not just,
it's random shit. Get the people what they want.
Like people do want like a face to things sometimes. Like I'm sure when some people come to Zone, they're like, I'm excited, I'm going to Zone. Then like, I'm excited to see Duke too.
Right.
Like they're not just like, I'm excited to see that guy from Zone. It's like, no, we're going to see Duke and all the other wonderful people there.
I think that's a fine line too, right? Like you don't want to, as a business owner, like you don't want to make it all about Zoned. It is all about the people that and the coaches that are inside of Zoned. That's why they're going there. The brand can people are going to go to Zone because of the brand of what's inside of it. But but you have to remember that the people inside of it are what make it awesome, And so being a coach still, I remember what it was like when I first started out. Like when someone would talk about Zone, but they were calling Zoned to get a person. Can I get a lesson with so-and-so? Can I get a lesson with... They didn't know much about the company, but they knew about how to find that person, and vice versa. You get a new client or a new, person that comes in, a new coach, they have 0 clientele, but on the first day they have 5 lessons because people are calling Zone for lessons. So they, I think it's easy for business owners to just think of the business and the entity as that's the big thing instead of and making sure that it's the micro and the it's all of it. It's the system of one, but yet the people that are like grinding and that are amazing. And we have such an amazing staff. Like all of our coaches are energetic. They're fun. They like what they do. Like it's a livelihood, not just, a place where some people go and they gypsy from this, this facility. Then they go over there and they do their own thing over there. And they go, this is like, they're here and salaried and insurance and like the whole 9. So that's what I always wanted to try to create, a place where people could do what they love doing and get all of it and not have to feel like, they have to work at 5 different facilities to,
Keep it going.
yeah.
Exactly. It's exactly what I'm trying to create here.
Yeah. And then you have I was on your Instagram, like you have a best-selling book too. How did that all come about?
That's so interesting. Every year we'd run coaches clinics, and a coaches clinic are all the new coaches that would come into the facility, and we would teach them how to run practices and how to keep it fun and the first couple of years, and even to date, half of the coaches never played baseball before. And I'm like, how in the world are you going to coach baseball and you've never even coached? You never even played it before. You don't know how to grip the ball. You don't know how to swing a bat, which means you can't show them. And you can't even talk the language of what you hope that they're going to be, right? They're in T-ball. They don't know anything about what they're doing, So we ran these coaches clinics and we realized the importance of we need to teach them like the simplest things, how to run. They all have to wear gloves. They have to wear their sneakers. They run. They do their warm-ups together. I have them throwing balls and get them to be like, holy cow, this is like, I can do this.
Yeah.
Like I can play it. So every year we do that. I'm like, man, every year, like there's a whole new batch of coaches. Like, let's take this coaches clinic, bottle it up into a simple, easy to read. I can read in an hour and a half from start to finish. What's a baseball knee? How do I get on a knee? How do I talk to the kids? How should they wear their uniforms? Here's lineup cards. Here's samples of practice plans. Here's how to, all those things. So now it's like, okay, I think I can do this when my son's 6 and he says, can you coach me, Daddy? And you're like, I have no idea. Oh, I can read this book and be like, okay, I have enough here to, to get myself going. Yeah. So Steve and I wrote that, and that's it. It's a coach's clinic, and the first time coach taking on that title, how and what he needs to do, the respect the game, the players themselves, how to have confidence when they do it, because who wants to do something that they've never done before? Like, and now you're in front of 12 kids and their parents judging you every day, whether you're good or not. Yeah. No one's going to want to do that. It's like, I'm just a parent that decided to volunteer to coach. Like, I don't know what I'm doing, and I know I don't. But I'm getting judged all the time, and who wants to take on that role? Nobody. But if you can give them some confidence and a little blueprint on how to do it, all right, I know I'm doing it anyway, so I need to find some kind of resource to help me out. So that's where taking on the title of coach was born, right there.
That's awesome. I feel like that's such I feel like no one thought to write something like that, because I guess you had the perspective of it.
Yeah.
Do you want to hop into rapid fire?
Yeah, we can hop in some
All right, so we do a segment on our show where we just hit you with some rapid fire questions, give us some answers. It doesn't have to be long, it doesn't have to be short, but.
All right.
Favorite baseball team growing up?
Yankees.
Favorite sport out of baseball?
Football.
Favorite baseball player growing up?
Dave Winfield.
Best pizza place around the area?
Oof, that's a good one. I love Dominic's at the Circle.
Ooh.
Favorite travel destination?
Oof. Well, that's a really good one. I would say I'm going to go to Hawaii. I've never been.
Oh, okay.
Favorite teammate?
Oof. Oh, that's a really good. Oh, man. Jason Fennell when I was on the Patriots. Mac Makowitz when I was at the University of North Florida. Yeah, that's what I would say.
First baseball memory you remember?
Well, the first baseball memory I remember was when I was 8 years old playing for Raritan. I hit the ball. My dad was actually coaching third, who knew nothing about sports at all. But the coach was sick. He was playing third base, and I hit a ball. The right fielder missed it, and then probably threw it to the shortstop and missed it. And I'm rounding the base. I'm rounding third, and I see the ball, and the shortstop has it. I'm like, that's just got his arm going, go, because he wanted me to get my first home run.
Yeah.
Right? So I get thrown out by a mile, and it was just like, but then the next hit I actually hit one down to the center field and hit the tree, and that was like a no-doubter home run, which was in the same game, and it was just so funny how my dad just wanted me to get it so bad because I wanted it so bad that he just it just sticks in my brain.
Oh, awesome.
What are 3 tips for etiquette for Little League parents that are watching the games?
Tip number 1, be happy for everybody. Cheer on the players because it's so easy to critique everybody. Oh, my son did. Number 2, no excuses. Do not make excuses for your son when he doesn't do something that you thought he should have done. And number 3, tell them that you love them after the game and you enjoyed watching them play, because there's too many times where when they get into the car ride home, they get destroyed about how bad they did and how they didn't do this, they didn't do that. So tell them that you loved watching them play. Do not make excuses for them and cheer on everybody.
Benny?
Do you have a favorite drill you run?
There we go.
Favorite drill?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I have a favorite drill. There's a drill that I have that I use two different tools. One's called a vector ball, and when you bounce it, it turns colors. 3 different colors: red, blue, or green. And then there's a Hiko stick that looks kind of like this, and each leg has a different color on it. So what I would do is, for the kids, like almost like more like their audio and visual and their mental, I would roll the ball, which forces them to have to keep their eyes down. The color of the ball, blue, I would then toss the Hiko stick. They have to run and catch it, and they have to catch the blue part. So it was really challenging to where it's like they're seeing this color, having to remember that color, and then go catch the same color with this little disc that's going like this, and they have to actually actually catch it. So I do that with a bunch of different drills when I'm working with them to really get them to focus and lock in. Sometimes they call the colors out, especially the little guys. Like they don't watch the ball in because they're kind of afraid. I would just toss that up, and right when it hits their hand, it turns into a color, so they have to call it, which means that they kept their eyes on it. Even when they hit it, it's the same exact thing. So it's a way to get them to focus and lock in.
What's one tip you have for new coaches?
One tip for new coaches is listen more than you talk. Listen and understand the kids before you just start yelling things and just trying to direct everything of what you want. Get to understand the kids or why they did something. The other day we had a game, the ball was hit to the center fielder. The guy on third base tagged, but at first he was like halfway, so he wasn't tagging at first. The center fielder got it, saw him, and then once he went to go throw it to the cutoff guy, he knew that he was supposed to throw it to the cutoff guy going to home plate. But since he wasn't tagging up, he wasn't sure, so he just got the ball and threw it to the cutoff guy. The coach then sent the guy from third, and he scored easily. And we're like yelling, 4, 4, 4, and he just threw it to this guy. So at the end, they walk in, I'm like, Aaron, I'm like, you know that when that ball goes up in center field, like the play's at home. He's like, yeah, coach, but when I looked, he wasn't tagging up. So I just threw it. I'm like, all right, that's good then. That's fine. We're going to work on that in practice. But in that situation, even though he did the wrong thing as a runner, like that's still our throw because he still scored.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, okay. So it's just listening to, why did they throw it this second, or why, or what's going on? Hey, Johnny, how's your day going? And then listen, not telling them how their day should go, or not, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or a kid starts crying after he strikes out. Stop crying. Wipe the tears out. Like, whoever stopped crying when you said stop crying? Whoever felt better when you said feel better? Like, don't get in a bad mood. It's like, well, instead, Johnny, what's so upsetting? I struck out and I just didn't want to let the team down. You didn't let the team down. It's all right. Let's go play. Okay. Well, like that's like listening instead of just, telling the kids how to feel and telling them what to do. Like, let them kind of do their thing and listen to people.
Is there any advice you would have for a coach that's like 20 years into coaching that might be like so engraved into their own style that like they kind of fail to like
They're too old school.
Innovate what they're doing?
The game is different. The game itself is the same, but the kids and the players are different. What drives them is different. There's no more slapping guys on the back or whipping them to go work hard, right? Kicking them in the helmet, or a guy like tapping you on the head like, let's go. There's no that rah-rah, train until you throw up, yell at kids to get them scared. Like, that's not how it works anymore. That's how it used to work, right? That's how when I was coached, that's what the coaches would do. Now it's like, okay, let's get them to want to play the game for why they want to play the game. It's like the swag with the eye black and the drip all over and the glasses and dude, that's just how they play now. Like, kids are on the phones in the dugout, and you want to just blow a gasket. But for some of them, that have anxiety or that are stressed out, or it calms some of them down. Like, if you thought about that, you're like, oh, I never thought about that. Well, yeah, because you're not allowing yourself to even, I find myself sometimes when I'm in a circle and I'm in like deep conversation and I see two kids that are talking and I just want to be like, why are you talking? Like, and I just stop myself and I'm like, you know what? I was able to pay attention to situations, but I have a son that's not. Like, he's just so like, that he's trying as hard as he can, right? So it's like, okay, guys, stand up and said, Coach Duke's going to talk, and you're going to be able to stand up and let's talk. People are like, why are you doing it? I'm like, because if my son sits down, he's going to want to jump around like this, and he's going to not be able to, but he's not trying.
Yeah.
Like, And then you have 2 or 3 kids that are the same exact way doing that. So I'm like, you know what? Let's stand up and talk. I'll take a knee and you guys stand up, and it's 10 times better.
Yeah.
Like, it's just learning, and not like, it's not all about us. It's about them.
Yeah.
And coaches have been doing it for 20 years. Man, like, and I always say this when there's a coach. Okay, the way that you can rate a coach is by how many kids sign up again next year. If my team's 500, but I get all 12 kids to sign up, and now I got 6 of their buddies that want to play for me, I did a pretty good job coaching.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm a coach that won 4 championships, I have 4 trophies, and only 3 kids are coming back, I suck as a coach. I'm not a good coach. Like, maybe I know how to coach the X's and O's, but I'm not a good coach because I just lost 9 kids that aren't playing the game anymore because of the way, to chase trophies.
Yeah.
So I think that is what sometimes some older coaches, it's more about them and their legacy, and instead of like, okay, you know what? I'm coaching rec baseball right now. I have a B travel team, and I love it, right? Like, I love it.
Yeah.
Where some guys need to have the A team, the elite team. We got to win. We got to. Okay, like, that's cool. Like, that's fun too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
it's like almost like forgetting what, like you said, you're doing it for it's the kids. Like, this is what it's about.
I love how you define kind of success as the relationships that's built rather than the numbers and the accolades.
Right. Well, I think that's what coaches remember. Like, and players remember. Every time someone asks me, I'm like, man, I remember when I was 9 years old and we won the championship with the Red Sox, and Coach Tyberski and Coach Raskins took us to As You Like It, and we got an ice cream cone. Like, yeah, we won the championship that year, but I would never talk about that.
Yeah.
Like, I remember the ice cream and what kind I got, and then I knew that we couldn't really afford to get ice cream often, and I was only allowed to get vanilla, and this time I got vanilla they dipped it in chocolate, and it created the hard shell on the outside, and I'm like, dude, like, that, I remember that, like, so it's the memories that we're creating that the kids are gonna, or when the season's over, 10 years from now, when kids are coming up to you and they're like, Coach, remember me? And you're like, or you go to the gym and they're like, hey, thanks so much for all you did. And you're like, what the? I remembered your face kind of, but it was 20 years ago, and you're like, okay, well, that means that I did my job, and I, was able to instill something in them that, hey, now they're coaching their kids, and they're like, man, now I know why you were hard on this, or why you said this, or why you wanted this, because now I'm going through it. It's just like our parents, right? I'm sure I give my mom and dad the worst time in the world, but now as when you're a parent, you're like, that's why they did that.
Yeah.
If they didn't do that, who knows where I would be or what I'd be doing, It's like, but then after the fact, you're like, man, thank gosh. And I think coaching and kids are that same exact way. You got to be hard on the kids if they're late to practice, or they're, not goofing around, but when not appropriate, right? But if they're coming late, hey, this is what we're going to do. Or they didn't hustle around the bases. Listen, I'm gonna sit you for a game, but you know it already. If you're not busting around the bases, it's only 90 feet. If you can't sprint 90 feet, then and then the mama, how come my son said, just ask your son, Johnny will tell you why. Johnny, because I didn't. Okay, well, guess what? Johnny's never jogged again around the bases ever. Yeah. And now when he goes to his middle school tryouts and he's busting around the bases, he's not even gonna realize what he's doing, but the coaches are. Or when everyone else is jogging and he's sprinting around, he's going to stand out because of something I learned when he was 10.
Yeah.
What's
one piece of advice you'd give your younger self?
Enjoy the wins. Like, I'm always looking for the next thing, like we talked about before. Okay, I hit this goal. What's my next one? Okay, I played professional. I got my first baseball card, which is all everyone was like, I can't wait to have my own baseball card. Like, that's going to be like, I made it. But then it's like, man, I need to get another one. And now I have 3 cards, and what's the next step? And what's and it's almost like we don't allow ourselves. It's like we jump over the things that we couldn't wait to get. And it's already like, I'm like, wait a second, what is going on? So understanding, wow, when Zone was formed, like, dude, this is sick. This is what you always wanted to do. Or signing the professional contract and be like, ooh, or playing. I have books when I was little, like, all I ever wanted to do was play baseball in Florida because that's where all the good kids played, And then, coming from New Jersey, and it's like, well, I played in Florida. Like, it should be a sick checkoff. Instead, it wasn't because now it's pro ball. Yeah. And after pro ball, like, now it's the big leagues. I played pro ball, but I didn't make it to the big leagues. Well, okay. But you played professional baseball, you have 3 baseball, like all these things. So I would just say slow down and enjoy where you're at. Like I tell myself that all the time now still. Like something happened yesterday that was a great thing, and I was just like, I didn't even, like once it was over, I'm like, oh, like it should have been like such a great thing. Instead I was like, wow, that was, and all up, building up to it, I was like, man, this is going to be so, we're going to celebrate, we're going to go out, and it's like the day after, and it's like, okay, what's next? So it's just slow down and enjoy everything, because I enjoyed the process. Like I love the grind, and I love like sweating and working hard and training. Like that's to get to what you're trying to get to, and you're the goal. But it's like there is no finish line.
Yeah.
You know, there is some things have a finish line, and then some things just keep on going. Right? It's like, are you trying to win today's baseball game, and that's the biggest thing? Or are you trying to win your league?
Yeah.
Right? Like if you're trying to win the game, you pitch your best guy all 6 innings, no matter what. You bat and then that's it. If you're trying to win the league, you can't pitch your best guy every game, because when he's sick, your team's going to lose 2 games in a row. Or if you let the prima donna just dominate and do whatever he wants, when he's not there, your team falls apart. Like, so you're trying to win the league, or you're trying to win the game, you know? So that's, you know, we created a mental conditioning course that we have for coaches called Win the Game Within the Game. And the game itself is like inside, like, how do I overcome when I strike out? How do I bounce back? How do I help my teammates? How do I mentally get a kid ready for, you know, to pitch? And it's like, there's more than just one game. It's, you know, and life is a game. It's a game every day. We're trying to win the day every day. Like, did I get better today? Yes. Did I grow as a husband, and as a father, as a coach, as a business owner? Like, am I growing in all these little areas, or no? You know, there's just a lot to it. You know.
Yeah.
Piece of advice you would give your older self.
Piece of advice I would give my older self is to, which I think I do a good job of this, and that is continue to grow and get better, and to learn and be coachable. Like I'm trying to learn about AI now, right? Like I was one of the first to do like an online baseball courses. Like online stuff was out, but there were no baseball courses. Like there was no, so it's like I'm always trying to, again, maybe this is why I don't celebrate the wins, is because I'm always trying to one up my next thing. Like I'm not trying to be better than that person, but if that person's doing it, and it's like, if it's intriguing to me, or I'm jealous of somebody, that means that's something that I know I want to do and should be doing, that they're doing instead.
Yeah.
You know, so it's almost like I use it as a different fuel. Like I'm not jealous of that guy that is doing that. I'm jealous of the fact that I'm not doing it yet, because I know I wanted to. It's like someone that has a house in New York City.
Yeah.
I don't want to live there. So if you have 3 houses in a $2 million house, like I'm not jealous of you at all, because I don't want to be there.
Yeah.
Now, if you had something else, or that I was wanted and you had it, that I'd be like, oh man, like, dude, it's a totally different feeling, right? Of like, and that's like an internal checkup on yourself of, all right, well, you're jealous of them because that's what so get going.
Yeah.
Like, that's just my way of kicking my own self, be like, let's go. Like, or don't do it. But you know, so that just becomes, you know, one of the things. So continue to grow, continue to get better, because the kids are, you know, I'm only getting older, and the new kids are younger. So it's a whole different age of kid, right? I could tell all my kids to get off their phones and stop using social media, and so I'd be a moron to do that. Like every kid has a phone, and it's like, okay, now only using it at certain times and being under control, like not using it at the dinner table and not when they're with their friends. And like, there's a way to use it, but to say you can't have a phone and you can't, like, that's how people buy my courses, because they have a phone and the ease of being able to watch a video on the field. And like, so I have to learn how to adapt myself and continue to grow and get better and stay up with technology and all this crazy baseball stuff they have out there that test this and test that, like, because that's what the kids want. So I can either not do it, or I could learn it.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's like our grandparents that say, I don't use the internet because I still or I still have my flip phone because I can't figure. No, you haven't tried.
Exactly.
Then you have some people that are 80 years old, like rocking out TikTok, and I'm like, look,
Yeah.
like, just you can keep that mentality.
Exactly. And it could be for you or not be for you, but if you don't go and learn it and see if it is, then you're just gonna sit there and have one mindset towards it.
And where can the people find out more about you and Zoned?
Awesome. They can find out at Duke Baxter. They can find out at Zone Sports and at Dominate the Diamond. So We're on all 3 of those platforms. We're on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. I don't have a Snapchat yet, but, it's another thing maybe. Yeah, so thanks so much for having me on the show, and, it was a lot of fun.
Definitely. And do you want to leave a quote to the people into this camera right here?
Sure. My quote is, if you do what you've always done, you're going to keep getting what you've always gotten. So challenge yourself. Don't be afraid of failure, and just let's go. Keep going.
Duke Baxter, everyone.
Awesome.
Sick.